A father earning just $35,000 is raising his two sons alone, while his ex-wife makes over $150,000 a year and hasn't paid a single dollar to help. But when the truth came out in court, everything changed. You won't believe what the judge decided. In this case, a man explains to the court that he's struggling to keep up financially while raising his two sons. He works as a manager at an urban clothing store, earning just $35,000 a year, and is also a retired U.S. veteran. Despite his limited income, he continues to pay child support to his ex-wife. What's troubling him is that she, in contrast, holds a dental assistant job and also runs a highly successful Herbalife side business, bringing in over $200,000 annually. Yet, she hasn't contributed anything toward supporting their children financially. He's asking the court for relief, saying the imbalance has become overwhelming. When asked if she agrees with her ex-husband's claims, the woman quickly denies it. She suggests that his financial issues aren't just about income, implying that if he stayed away from casinos, he might be in a better place financially. He firmly rejects that accusation, stating he spends all his free time at home with his sons when he's not working. The court reviews the custody arrangement, which shows a shared schedule, each parent having the children on alternating weeks, switching on Sundays. The father clarifies that, despite this arrangement, he is the one paying child support. He also points out that his ex frequently travels, often being away on vacation, while he stays home managing the boys' daily needs. The father continues, explaining that, although they technically share custody, he's had full responsibility for their sons for over 7 consecutive weeks. He emphasizes that their mother hasn't seen the children at all during that time, as she's frequently away traveling. The judge interrupts, reminding him firmly to wait his turn when someone else is being addressed. Turning to the mother, the judge issues a clear warning against any further outbursts, cautioning that courtroom decorum will be enforced. With permission to continue, the father reiterates that his ex is often out of town, leaving him to care for the boys entirely on his own. The judge takes note of this and points out a crucial inconsistency of custody is supposed to alternate weekly, but the children have been with their father for nearly 2 months. That not only violates their agreement but also means he's carrying a much heavier financial burden, something that is clearly reflected in the case documents. The judge turns to the mother, referencing income documents she submitted. According to her employer's records, she earns approximately $125,000 annually working for a dental firm that specializes in creating models and castings for implants and dentures. She explains that her recent absences have been due to professional training, not leisure. While the judge acknowledges that, they clarify that the training isn't the issue. The concern lies in her total income, $125,000 from her primary job, plus an additional $25,000 from her Herbalife side business, bringing her yearly earnings to roughly $150,000. In contrast, the father earns just $35,000 and has been caring for the children full-time for several weeks. Despite this imbalance in both income and caregiving, she still expects him to continue paying child support, something the court finds questionable, given the circumstances. The judge presses the mother for a direct answer, asking if she truly believes it's fair for the father to continue paying child support despite the clear income gap and his increased time with the children. She begins to defend herself, but the judge interrupts firmly, reminding her to answer the question, not offer justifications. She insists that she covers many of the children's expenses, including private school tuition, piano lessons, and insurance. However, the father interjects to clarify that both boys are actually on scholarships, challenging the financial claims. The judge steps in again, stating that while those details are noted, they're not central to the matter. What's important is the custody arrangement, which is officially shared. And while split custody doesn't always mean child support is owed, the judge reminds both parties that it's ultimately the court's decision, especially when there's a significant disparity in income and caregiving responsibility. The judge turns to the father, drawing attention to the stark income difference. $35,000 a year versus $150,000. He's asked what kinds of experiences he can afford to give his sons. Considering his limited budget, the father explains that after covering basic expenses, rent, food, and bills, he does what he can to make life enjoyable for his boys. They get the clothes they need, spend time at the park, and occasionally enjoy a treat like a trip to Six Flags. It's not extravagant, but it's filled with effort and presence. Then the judge shifts to the mother, asking about the activities she shares with the children. She responds with frustration, claiming she does as much as she can but only when the father allows the boys to visit. The judge cuts through the deflection and asks directly, what has she actually done with them? The father quickly answers, when she does have the boys. It's lavish. Trips to Paris, overseas vacations, Disney cruises. Every visit becomes a high-end adventure. The contrast is clear. One parent offers stability and consistency. The other, luxury and escape. The judge acknowledges that if the mother is earning $150,000 a year, adjustments might be necessary. The mother quickly points out that the father is living in her $350,000 home without contributing anything toward the mortgage. She emphasizes that while she owns the house, he benefits from it entirely, rent-free. The judge clarifies that ownership doesn't negate the fact that the children have been living with their father for the past 7 weeks. The mother responds that her absence was due to job-related training. She says that enables her to continue providing high-quality opportunities for her children, like private school and other premium experiences. The judge doesn't dismiss her effort but reminds her that these complex financial and custodial imbalances are exactly why they're in court. Then, turning to the numbers, the judge notes that her gross monthly income stands at $12,500 based on her annual earnings of $150,000, figure that will now factor into the court's decision. The judge asks the mother how many children she has, and she confirms she has 2 children she shares with her ex. The judge calculates her net income at $9,000 per month and begins applying the appropriate percentage for child support, citing 20.63%. The mother interjects, mentioning that she also takes care of her sister's 3 children. The judge immediately pauses and firmly clarifies that while it's commendable, those children are not relevant to this case. The court is only concerned with the 2 children shared between the parents in question. With that settled, the judge explains that child support will be adjusted based on the mother's income, and the payments will be offset accordingly. Sensing some hesitation, the judge checks in with the mother. Noting her confused expression and asking if she has any questions, she quietly responds that she does not. After reviewing both incomes, the judge calculates the mother's child support obligation at $1,456 per month, to be paid to Mr. Carter on the first of each month. The judge makes it clear that this decision isn't about punishing the mother for her success, it's about fairness to the children. While the mother's financial means allow for vacations and luxury experiences, the same isn't possible at their father's home, where his limited $35,000 income restricts what he can offer. The judge emphasizes that this imbalance impacts the children emotionally, highlighting how unfair it is that they experience abundance with one parent and limitation with the other. The court urges her to consider the children's perspective, not just the financials. The mother tries to defend her position, noting she spent time pursuing her education while implying the father was irresponsible during that period. But the judge redirects the focus back to what matters most: the children's well-being and sense of stability between both homes. As tensions flare, the mother throws a final jab, accusing the father of chasing everything that had legs. The judge immediately shuts it down, stating bluntly that personal drama and past relationship issues are not the court's concern. You need a different courtroom for that, the judge says firmly. This court is here to address matters directly related to the children, and the financial responsibilities involve nothing more. With no further issues raised, the judge thanks both parties and dismisses them from the courtroom. The case is officially closed. The case begins with Mr. Bridges explaining why he brought the matter before the court. He claims he recently discovered that the mother has more money than she previously disclosed, and he believes the child support should reflect that. When asked how he came to that conclusion, he says their 12-year-old child mentioned it after returning from a visit with her. According to Mr. Bridges, the child casually said, "Mama has more money now." Pressed further, he admits the child didn't offer many details but hinted that it might be connected to a life insurance policy the mother holds. Before the mother can respond, she interrupts, calling the accusation false. The judge steps in, reminding her she'll have a chance to speak when it's her turn. The judge seeks clarification. Did the child specifically mention life insurance? Mr. Bridges replies that the child said something about it, and he's assuming that's the source of the extra money. Before he can elaborate, the judge pauses him to lay down ground rules. Only the judge will ask questions, and all responses must be directed to the bench, not to each other. Mr. Bridges agrees to the instruction. The judge then asks if there's anything else important to share before turning to the mother. Mr. Bridges says the child also mentioned, what he believed the money was being used for. Expensive handbags, purses? The judge asks. Mr. Bridges confirms, saying the child referenced bags like the one currently on the table in front of the mother. He admits he's not familiar with brand names, but that's what the child told him. The judge turns to the mother and follows up on the claim. So your son said, "Mama's got new purses. Tell me about those," the judge asks. The mother explains that she's an interior designer and feels it's important to look put together, matching her outfits with her accessories. She adds that she shops smart, looking for bargains, and insists that she also shops for her son, dismissing the idea that her spending is selfish or excessive. The judge presses further, asking directly if her son ever said she withdrew money from a life insurance policy. She denies it, but when asked point-blank whether she did take money out of a policy, she hesitates before finally admitting, yes. The judge responds, sharply pointing out that Mr. Bridges wasn't lying, as she had previously claimed. He was right. When asked how much was withdrawn, she replies, $30,000. The judge continues probing, questioning whether the $30,000 withdrawn from the life insurance policy was really used just for handbags. What kind of purses are we talking about? The judge asks. The mother responds, pointing to the bag she has with Hertz a Michael Kors. The judge, clearly frustrated, remarks that it seems she's wasting the court's time. Shifting focus, the judge asks how much she earns as an interior designer. She tries to dodge the question, but the judge presses until she admits to making $60,000 a year. The judge points out the imbalance. She took out a $30,000 loan, half her annual income, not to support her child, but to buy designer bags. When asked who the child lives with, the answer is clear: the father. Then the judge turns to him. Has she given you any extra money to help with the child? No, he replies. When the mother is asked to respond, she simply claims, he's lying. Without offering any evidence or explanation, the mother continues to dismiss the father's claims, calling him a liar once again. The judge, visibly unimpressed, cuts her off. I don't even know what you just said, and frankly, I'm not going to entertain it, the judge says, redirecting the conversation back to the financial matters at hand. Based on her $60,000 salary as an interior designer, the judge prepares to calculate her gross income, but they also make it clear that the additional $30,000 withdrawn from the life insurance policy will be included in that assessment. When asked where that money is currently being held, the mother casually replies, "It's in my account somewhere." The judge presses her to be more specific, and she vaguely adds that it's in a safe place, implying that it's secure and, in her words, where he doesn't need to be touching it. The judge responds without hesitation, "Well, he's definitely getting ready to touch it," signaling that those funds are now subject to child support consideration. The judge moves forward with calculating the financial figures. Based on the mother's $60,000 annual income, her gross monthly income is set at $4,800, with a net of approximately $3,935.18. Then, factoring in the $30,000 withdrawn from the life insurance policy, which the mother admitted is sitting untouched, the judge adds a gross of $2,500 and a net of $2,144.63. This brings her total monthly net income to $6,079.81. Turning to health insurance, the judge confirms that the mother currently carries the coverage for the child, which costs $120 per month and covers the child only. The judge notes that she hasn't requested reimbursement for medical expenses and decides she should continue providing the insurance as is, without changes. The judge finalizes the financial breakdown, noting that while the mother will continue covering the child's health insurance, reimbursement may be considered at a later date, though she hasn't requested it in this hearing, with her total net monthly income calculated at $6,079.81. The judge sets her monthly child support obligation at $1,215.97. Looking directly at her, the judge asks if there's any additional income or money tucked away she'd like to disclose, that if there is, it could raise the child support amount further. The mother quickly replies, "No, I don't." Confirming that neither party has anything else to add, the judge dismisses the case. Miss Jackson appeared in court today to present her case against her ex-partner, James. While the two had separated amicably a few years ago, their co-parenting journey had, up until now, been smooth and cooperative. They had maintained a relatively balanced approach to raising their daughter. tyranny, including sharing expenses and maintaining open lines of communication. However, the harmony between them began to break down following Tyranny's 8th birthday celebration, an event that would spark the dispute now in front of the court. Miss Jackson explained that she wanted to make the occasion unforgettable for her daughter, who had recently taken an interest in figure skating. Wanting to nurture that excitement, she took the initiative to rent out a local ice skating rink for the party and went as far as hiring former Olympic champion Tara Lipinski to perform a special routine for the children. It was a lavish and memorable event, costing around $1,500. While the celebration was undeniably a hit with Tyranny and her friends, the high cost of the party became a serious point of contention between the former couple. Miss Jackson told the judge that she had reached out to James prior to the event to involve him in the planning and expenses. However, she received no reply. Interpreting his silence as disinterest or approval by omission, she decided to plan and pay for everything herself. The real issue, she explained, came after the party. James declined to reimburse her for any portion of the celebration, arguing that the spending was excessive and not something he had agreed to. Miss Jackson, clearly frustrated, claimed that James's refusal to contribute revealed a lack of commitment to shared financial responsibility. This incident, in her view, reflected a broader problem, one she feared would affect their daughter's future experiences, including upcoming ballet classes and recital costs. She therefore brought the matter to court, requesting a formal child support order. Her argument was simple: if James wasn't going to contribute voluntarily, then the court should mandate financial support to prevent imbalance and resentment in their co-parenting arrangement. But the judge wasn't convinced. After hearing the details, they questioned Miss Jackson's decision-making. A $1,500 party for an 8-year-old, the judge asked, clearly skeptical. Miss Jackson defended the expense, saying that within their social circle, events like this were the norm. In fact, she emphasized that she had actually shown restraint. Some parents in their community spent even more, and she felt she had been reasonable given the expectations. Still, the judge pressed further. "So you're trying to keep up with Susie's $2,000 birthday party?" they asked, incredulously. Miss Jackson maintained that she wasn't competing, but rather trying to give her daughter a special memory and ensure she didn't feel left out. At this point, James spoke up. Calm and measured, he told the court that while he fully supported celebrating their daughter's birthday, the amount spent was simply over the top. He said he would have gladly split the cost of a more modest gathering, perhaps covering the ice rink rental, but the inclusion of an Olympic figure skater felt wildly extravagant. He even admitted that he hadn't responded to Miss Jackson's initial messages because he assumed the suggestion was a joke. The judge acknowledged James's perspective and agreed that the party did, in fact, sound excessive. They made it clear that just because Miss Jackson decided to spend $1,500 on a birthday celebration doesn't automatically entitle her to reimbursement or child support, especially in the absence of mutual agreement. They called her expectation unfair and made it clear that her unilateral decision couldn't become the financial responsibility of the other parent. When asked again what she was asking from the court, Miss Jackson reiterated her request for a formal child support order. The judge responded bluntly, "Well, I'd like for you to stop spending $1,500 on birthday parties." They emphasized that making such a request based on a one-time event and an extravagant one at that was not a valid reason to modify their financial arrangement, especially considering their history of balanced co-parenting. The judge then confirmed with James that he continued to support Tyranny financially during his custody periods, and he affirmed that he paid for all necessary expenses without issue. The court concluded that Miss Jackson likely overextended herself with the birthday party and was now trying to offset those costs through legal means. They further noted that the true root of the issue seemed to stem not from necessity, but from social comparison, an attempt to keep up with other parents spending thousands on children's parties. "I cannot believe you actually filed this case on those grounds," the judge said with clear frustration. Still, the court took the opportunity to clarify that not all upcoming expenses were unreasonable. Ballet classes, for instance, were different, as a structured extracurricular activity that could benefit Tyranny's education and personal growth. It would be appropriate for both parents to support it, but through mutual discussion, not courtroom orders based on party costs. Finally, the judge asked who covered health insurance for the child. Both parents confirmed that they maintained separate policies, which the court approved as fair and adequate, with no further issues raised. The judge declined Miss Jackson's request for child support, stating clearly that the matter of a birthday party, no matter how memorable, did not warrant a court-ordered financial obligation. The hearing was adjourned, and the case officially dismissed.